back to our Lips Unsealed podcast. We have a great episode planned for you today, and here with us is Richard Lee. Hi, Richard.
Hey Savannah, how you doing? And
Good. How are you?
Bobby, hello.
Hey, Richard, good to see you again. It's been a while. We've talked, but I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, last time I saw you, you were full on pirate with the beard.
That's
Right
That's
now,
right.
you're a clean cut salesperson.
Much trimmer. My wife is happy about it. My kid is happy about it. I'm happy about it. It was
Right.
getting a little unruly. It was ruling my life.
I'm sure you can barbecue safely now.
I could barbecue a lot of things. You just get that thing caught in everything. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a much
Right.
safer existence in life. I feel confident as I'm walking around.
I'm good. Back to eating soup. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah, Richard. I mean, he can talk a little bit about himself, but I've known him for a while. We met locally here in Colorado when you were working for a commerce company, and you stayed in the commerce realm for a while, and now are kind of out doing your own thing. You're a consulting. So yeah, I mean, you're an interesting cat. I'd love to, glad to have you on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words, and we'll jump into kind of just an open discussion on commerce today.
All righty. Thank you so much for both of you having me. Yes, I'm excited to be here, and Bobby, pleasure to know you in all these years. I met Bobby. I was doing visiting various user groups in the AX category, and I was at the time delivering a demo or a self-made demo around VR, as VR was an emerging technology, and created it for like a mini or a micro minimal viable product to show what the promise of using VR is from all ranges, and went around talking to various AX and F&O groups.
Yeah.
And I was working under the umbrella of Dynamic Web at the time, an integrated e-commerce solution in the Microsoft space. So, and then, so I had been working in this space of where I know Bobby from, we'll call it the Microsoft partner space, for about 10 years. And prior to that, I had started my own managed service provider in New York City, where I'm originally from. And that allowed me to have what they call like a lifestyle. I was allowed to leave the office. I didn't have to work there. I managed to grow it to a point where I could have someone working for me, people I trusted, and we had a good steady book of business. I could leave the helm. But we were never pirates, Bobby. I'm kidding. So anyway, so then I came out to LA, hoping to work for SpaceX, and made a really visual resume, not knowing a lick about marketing, at least at that level, for rocket scientists. And but my resume was sitting up online, and that was in the easy days when you could put your resume online and people find you. Now it's like impossible. What was that?
I would just say, yeah, it's such a different way people go about getting jobs with LinkedIn or
yes, exactly.
Sites going up and down.
Yeah, so recognizing that, and even before that, knowing that layoffs were coming at Microsoft where I was working. And there I realized that, okay, well, if I have to be pushed out of this high altitude plane, let me just use my own parachute this time. And that's what I did. I landed back at not the same helm, different chair. Basically, I do sales and marketing for the company now. I did learn a thing or two about marketing. And then I answer the calls and things like that, so that the field techs don't have to do that or don't have to check a voicemail later. And it's live, and nothing beats someone on the other end when you need computer help. And so I love that. And then since too, I mean, that's not a full-time job, so I've been exploring generative AI. I've been making an app for generative AI. I've been learning more about Python and doing my own e-commerce businesses as well. So keeping busy.
The VR presentation you did was awesome. This was this is probably 5 years ago, maybe 6, somewhere in that range. And Richard brought in like the little, the VR, thing for your phone. So everybody had their own little thing to put the phone in, and then did a demonstration around, warehousing. It was pretty slick, really, really impressive. Kind of in that early stage of Dynamics, or at that point, it was still kind of in its, infancy phases to D365. That it was kind of, cutting edge look at how technology can be used really effectively in a warehouse. So yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, those fun times that we were assembling those headsets right before the start of the show, and yeah, I think that's kind of my thing. It's like I love embracing these emerging technologies and trying to apply it to some aspect of the world that I'm in. And VR, I love how far it's gotten, but I
Yeah.
have a Meta headset and I don't use it at all. Why is that? I'll tell you why, because I wear glasses full time, and those things are just not designed for people with glasses at all.
Yeah.
Right? But also, it makes me want to vomit a little bit when I use it, right? So I'm just reluctant. It's like,
Right.
should I drink? I'm allergic to drinking, or should I put the
Yeah.
VR headset?
All right.
Equal resistance towards both.
Are those the glasses that hook up to Facebook? Because they also kind of feel creepy too. If you're walking around with this, your glasses are cameras, and you see somebody with those on, you're like, are you filming me? What's going on?
Yeah.
This feels like a little bit creepy to me. Yeah.
It sure is. Yeah, it's like being like off. Like you might as well say a shirt that says, unauthorized stalker on your.
Perhaps we don't know if they're on or off.
Yeah.
Totally. No, this one is the one where you really don't want to walk around more than 2 square
Gotcha.
feet, or you're gonna whatever, run into something that you don't want to run into, depending on where you're running. Yeah. So that's I love that stuff. I love the emerging, and that's why generative AI, like how are you guys using ChatGPT, or are you, or what's going on in your world, Savannah?
Yeah. So mainly, excuse me, mainly how I normally use ChatGPT is like if I'm trying to come up with different topics on our website or different blogs or things like that, I'll kind of go in there and ask for like bullet points of things to focus on. So it kind of will like spark my ideas, and then I can go from there and kind of, kind of write up a little bit more. So that's been super useful. Any other way, though, that's kind of the main thing I've been doing so far. Bobby, maybe you can attest more to different things that you use it for.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, for where I am in life, that's been a lot of very similar. To your point, I like it for idea sparking, especially if it's a topic I don't know about. I might just want to bump my knowledge on it. I've tried writing things, like allowing it to write a blog for me, and I find that that's just, I can see through the chat GPT still, so it doesn't quite capture my voice or even a tone of how I would write. So I usually end up writing stuff on my own. So I haven't really used it for like full on, content yet. But I've been playing around with it for that sake. Again, especially for getting some bullet points. I started grabbing, and currently we haven't integrated it yet to our Teams environment. So I am using ChatGPT to summarize meetings. So if I have a meeting that we've got the transcript on, I'll make sure I've got the transcript, and I'll throw that into ChatGPT and have it summarize it for me.
Yeah.
And that way I can, because I do that anyway in life, and that does save me some time. So it's, those are really kind of light ways that I use it. And then it's exciting to see some of the cool stuff coming down the pike for D365 though, with AP automation now, and then in warehousing, there's some really cool stuff in preview that's going to be coming out next year. That'll be some exciting stuff for folks in like a financial system.
Yeah, that's exciting too. I mean,
Yeah.
they, the beauty of Microsoft today is that they made a beautiful investment in OpenAI. And now they're capable of using that in their software all over the place.
Yeah.
and not just for the creation of things or assisting with accounts payable, but being able to like even just find information, right? The doc site is definitely wonderful, a huge improvement over how it was maybe 10 years ago, but
Yep.
it can go next level soon enough once they incorporate like a generative AI in there. So I don't have to speak Microsoft language. I could use
Yeah.
normal language and find what I'm looking for, even if it is generated, right? So I think
Right.
they're like, I it's a wonderful position to be in, and I'm happy for them to have that kind of second coming in our lifetime.
What do you think about the speed at which it's happened? I mean, it feels like it's snap, snap, snap. It was like, they introduced it and then it was kind of funny, like, oh, write a poem in the style of, William Shakespeare, but make it about, commerce, ha ha ha, and to something kind of really serious. And it's just moving, in my opinion, moving really quickly.
Yeah, it's like, it's demonstrating how, the time that happens in the startup world or in the startup, maybe when the FANG group or little startup companies, or even in the early days of the 80s and 90s with the personal computer, it seemed like there was so much effort happening with that. And I feel like had that happened with VR, it would be a different story today. But the way
Yeah.
it's happening with AI, it's truly like there's so much effort going into it. And I feel like it's a truly exciting environment. And that, sure, there are data scientists who are part of AI, but you can enjoy AI just like a personal computer without being an electronics engineer, right? You can
That's the thing.
truly,
It's accessible.
yeah, it's truly accessible. And I think that's what makes it that way. Because even with VR, it was somewhat accessible. But once you wear glasses, it's straight down,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, and that's the irony. It's like, there's a lot in the tech world that wears glasses because I've been staring at a green screen since I was a kid. And
Yeah.
that's like radiation for me for a lifetime. So anyway, but yeah, I think that it is fast moving. I love also being part of it. I feel like, back in the day, I used to say like everybody needs to be a little bit of a tech company, and certainly bigger companies that have their own IT department are a little bit of a tech company. And now I'm thinking every company needs to be a little bit of an AI company, like incorporate
Yeah.
AI in some way, right? You'll expect like every software ever made, whether it's an ERP or a game, to have true AI inside of it, right? I mean, not just
Yep.
games that use, non characters to kind of play against you, but it's truly beneficial to be able to have like an assistant who's not going to complain, who can do things in any language you ask it to do in all realms. From can
Yeah.
you tone down this email? I want to send it to this customer that pissed me off, to can you explain the Korean War using pizza as an analogy, right? So, and then
Yeah.
boom, all that would be impossible to find in one person, right? Or one person for nearly free. So yeah.
I like that. That's a good prompt. That we should put that out on LinkedIn right away with this post. Can you explain blank using pizza as an analogy? That's just
Sure. Yeah.
just an ongoing templated prompt for everything in life. Let me ask you this:
Absolutely.
Are you polite? This goes to both of you. Are you polite when you interact with ChatGPT? So if you say, Savannah, when you go, you say, "Hi, ChatGPT, how are you? Can you please do this for me? Thank you." Because I do. I'm treating it as it's sentient because someday it might be, and I want to be on the good side of it.
I mean, that's
Totally.
pretty smart.
Totally.
I can't say that I do. I basically just say, give me this, and that's all.
Right. I do say thank you. So I feel like when in the very least, if I say thank you to someone at a restaurant, I can prohibit or keep, my food is fresh from the kitchen or from the stove without any added things to my mouth.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, but you're right. That's a very good strategy. I mean, no matter what side of the coin, if you believe that in Skynet or not, I think you being polite maybe makes you a manager when the AIs take over.
Like it always comments like, you're welcome and good luck with that thing you're working on. I hope it works out well for you. It's always super positive. Like you said, It's never complaining about what I've asked it to do. It just gets there and does it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, I say when people ask me to do something, I'm like, certainly, right? Just like in ChatGPT. Oh, certainly,
Yeah,
I'll do
you
that.
bet. I'd love to do that for you.
Yeah. Oh man.
Goodness. So I guess like with going into the new year, how do you think like AI will play a role in commerce, or what do you even think AI will look like within the next year or so?
Oh
And
wow. Yeah.
I know it's kind of a loaded
Yeah,
question.
no, yeah, I'm just trying to piece it together. Like,
I'll bring this out here. Just Richard, you can comment after it, or
yeah.
but you're already seeing it with just the chat bots that are out there, right? There's that the AI chat bots. A lot of companies are starting to incorporate, kind of furthering what was already in place, but using AI to try to make a better experience.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Like what you've all both of you mentioned, and like using AI in the little places that you do it, maybe light load of like, it's Monday. Can you give me some ideas for these blog topics? I'm a little too
Yeah.
tired, right? But then what's also happening is something I learned early on as I was diving into this and falling in love with it, falling down the rabbit hole, is that you can use GPT, the engine, for your own private data. And we know that with OpenAI, they made an announcement in November before all of the drama with employees and all that there.
Mhm.
But they talked about what they call GPTs, that are private engines of private. Now, private, I don't know if the word private is what they use, but I use it freely because that's what I'm doing. It's where it's a private GPT engine using OpenAI's technology, where companies can put in their own information and
Right.
query it using natural language, the same way, the same benefits as OpenAI's system. So, including in different languages. So you put in the source information, or the training model information is in English, but you can query it in any language, or open it up for your customers to be able to ask those questions. So that's the type of generative AI I've been focused on lately, with around for businesses, where just talking to a variety of companies, but locking down some of them that are open, maybe more progressive, and then others are often just scared, right? And I start off with that meeting with like, how are you using ChatGPT? They're like, hell no, I don't use it. To
Right.
at the end, they're using it, or they're wanting to use it, right? And I'm happy for that, right? Because I feel like that's how, when I was doing sales demos for Dynamic Web in the early days, pre-pandemic, there were people who were just like, yeah, I don't know if AI is really something we need, right? And they're big
Yeah.
companies, right? And now after the pandemic, if they weren't destroyed by other companies that did the same thing except online, they embraced it. And I feel like I'm in the early days of being the Pied Piper and just singing the song. And I have some people who want to follow my parade, and others who are just like, no, this is evil. This is evil. This is evil.
Savannah, are you afraid of AI? Are you on board? Like, are you a person who's like kind of stead back and waiting, or are you jump right in and use it?
I would say like maybe in the middle somewhere. I'm
Mhm.
not, I wouldn't say I'm like afraid of it. I mean, like I said, I utilize it a little bit, but I'm definitely not like all on board or completely jumped into it or anything like that. So I
Yeah.
I sit in the middle, I'd say, but yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's inevitable, right? I mean, this taking over and being a part of, every part of our lives likely in some way going forward. And it's happening so quickly. For me, it feels like it's passing me by already. Like I feel like I'm somehow, like you said, I'm not leading the charge, and maybe in some ways, but I'm almost like on the coattails, just trying to find ways to keep up and stay relevant in something that's moving so quickly. I was thinking when you were talking about commerce, what do you think about? I mean, currently, obviously, we know there, advertising and marketing uses our information to provide us with targeted ads. But with AI, I feel like it can go a little deeper from a buying perspective. Where I might have normally gone through and had to pull reports to find out what were the best-selling garments in this region at this age group that I can just now, with, like you said, with a natural language request, say, hey, tell me, what's the best selling T-shirt in the Southwest region for males ages 18 to 40, and it's going to spit out this T-shirt for me and tell me what to do with it, and or just give it a directive. Make sure you always buy keep me 10% stocked on all on the top trending items for X amount of months, so that we don't run out of stock. Or how does that translate for a buyer, that from like a consumer standpoint? If I'm logging in, it may not know who I am, but can it still present? Can AI still take maybe what it does know about me from my online kind of out there footprint to provide better buying experience, consumer experience for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone that uses AI from the back end, from the ERP side to the content side, is going to benefit from AI in some shape or form, whether it's built into your application or not. If you can use it independent of each other in a way. But then from the consumer, I feel like if done right, there could be many advantages that, I feel like today we land on a site and it's a navigation chore to find products, to find things.
Yeah.
Unless they're, in your face because they're on your homepage. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a mannequin in a store. I'm going for the mannequin. I don't see or the sales rack or some kind of big category of something.
Yeah.
Imagine if it's actually using your historical data that maybe you have a long experience, maybe it's like Amazon or something like that. And then imagine you get like a digital twin, a virtual rep who's saying, hey, Richard, thanks for showing up again. Because why did we have cookies or other ways of tracking people in their sessions? And why not
Yeah.
really leverage that? I'm thinking, obviously this is blue ocean, it's much further away, but all the steps in between of like drastically improving a user's experience. Sure, you want to earn trust, but
Yeah.
trust by like, hey, you have my data, use it appropriately, right? I don't mind if you
Yep.
track me, if I get a free pizza for it, or I get like a really, this is where I love about Instagram is that if you guys use it, I find that what they recommend for me to buy is quite accurate. And even at the moment, at the time, right? It's not like something like, oh yeah, when I was 15, I would have loved something like that.
Yeah.
This is like really appropriate today. And I feel like that's powerful. And if other websites that I go to, even if it's the infrequence of, once or twice a year, like Maytag to get a new filter for the fridge, right? Just be smart about things. Obviously, what kind of fridge I have.
Yep.
Maybe explore the other possibilities of maybe third parties that they can introduce me to or whatever, right? So I feel like there's so much of that opportunity that's missing, that AI, whether it's someone going rogue within an organization saying, I want to add this to the website, to the website, being AI powered in some way, I think the sky's the limit. But the beauty is, like you said, it's very accessible now, even from a software development perspective. Someone who can tweak and add more to their own website is capable of applying these technologies. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's so many add-ons today, just like in marketing tech, there were thousands. Now with AI, there's tens, hundreds of thousands. So definitely a lot of opportunity there. It's as it unfolds, back to Savannah's question, first 3 months, like every quarter, we should start to see things where maybe more adoption in the first quarter, more interesting starting things to happen online in the second quarter. And then it starts getting crazy with like just like new websites appearing back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's going to be that kind of way, I imagine.
And it's interesting. This is a random thought, but with e-commerce, it was a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now, because I was still at Uray and we were talking about, we were really deep into e-commerce discussions on how we should handle e-commerce. And at the time, there were so many articles about the death of brick and mortar, but I feel like brick and mortar is still holding on. I mean, that side of commerce is still kind of there. Is it because generationally there's still generations that grew up with brick and mortar, so it's hard to let that go. It doesn't seem like brick and mortar is going away as fast as they thought it might.
Yeah, it's a good question. When I got into VR, I thought, oh, this is going to be the thing that kills brick and mortar. And I don't know why I was even on that bandwagon, right? Because I
Yeah,
still like stores. I still go to stores. And I feel like, you know what instead of it being a replacement, and maybe that goes towards AI as well, for those who fear AI being a replacement for us, it's more of a transformation for us, just like digital transformation still goes on, and
yeah,
it's going on into the AI generation. And so that the brick and mortar is a place. It doesn't have to be the old way that a brick and mortar was when we were kids, but when it is now like a way of infusing technology and recognizing when there needs to be another cashier, or that mayonnaise is spilled on the floor, or anything that's happening for helping the people in the store to the customer who is this moving target of information that at some stores or some businesses, like what Microsoft provides, that kind of overarching,
yeah,
uh, the ERP holds everything and feeds everything.
yep,
And I love that kind of live lookup that Home Depot, Walmart have. I don't care about their web technology, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to drive 15 minutes to go to Home Depot unless it's in the aisle and there's enough there for everybody, right?
yeah,
So I think that that's what's nice, that it hasn't eliminated it. In fact, it may have increased. It's kind of like when people said, "All right, we're going to go paperless," and it turns out that paper was even more consumed after paperless, right? And the
yeah.
same, like e-commerce doesn't replace the brick and mortar; it actually enhances it.
It enhances
And
it because you're right. I've used that. I mean, and a lot of times with the app, even when you're in the store, it'll direct you to the aisle. Like you'll kind of get closer. It tells you it's in bin something, but sometimes it's huge, but it'll actually pinpoint you at a few stores. So that a really good combination and good call out point. And I'm gonna reflect back real quick. I had a chance to talk to a bot. It was an actual talking conversation, or maybe I was listening. It was a listening. I wasn't talking. I was listening to a bot talk to a customer, and it was interesting. The bot learned in conversation the tone. Like it started off in a certain tone, and then learned the conversational style of the person it was talking to, and adjusted to that style, whether it was more formal or more laid back. When it was more laid back, the bot got more comfortable with its language. It was a little bit looser and less formal. And then when the person was really, kind of just talking sternly, and the bot was very, stern and very, connected to that person. So to your point, Richard, an e-commerce site going forward at some point, like you said, it's Greenfield or Blue Ocean, that you'll be interacting with a person that knows about you, that also can talk to you in the moment.
yeah, there is even using the camera to see your facial expressions, right? Like,
If you're willing
all
to
right,
go that route, you bet.
yeah, the
Yep.
person looks really upset, and then here's a situation which is also flagged as very upset.
Yep.
Then maybe instead of that digital twin, there's a live person that says, "Listen, we're really sorry for the total
Yeah.
F up here. How
Yep.
can I make it better?" Right? So
It knows quicker when to shift over from bot to real person.
yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
even the bot is like, "No, I don't want to deal with this person, live person, human being. Bobby, where are you?"
The bot starts glitching itself, like so it's glitching
Right,
down.
right.
I love it. Um, we'd be remiss because we brought up pre-pod, and it's one of these things that it was kind of a perfect analogy on how I felt when we connected, kind of for the first time, and in a kind of a laid back scenario. We were at a summit, and I don't know if you remember this, but one of the folks we were there with, a guy named Lindsay, had just broken her leg. This was 2016. We were in Nashville. She broken her leg, and she was really disappointed because she had bought boots for the show, and she couldn't wear her boots because of the actual boot she had on. And this group of folks standing around, we maybe had a few drinks, but not loaded, but talking about different things around how she could maybe bling up her medical boot. And that turned the conversation to actual technology, which was like, wow, what if we were able to take something and like an LED panel and put it on her boot? Yeah, that'd be fun. And then by the end of it, we'd come up with this idea called StilLEdos. which we didn't name that night. The name came later, but basically, Savannah, it was the idea that you could take a really thin LED panel that would cover the entire shoe, and you could change the color, the design on the fly of your shoe based on your mood. So you could be walking down the street. I feel like I want to turn these into zebra stripe, boom, red, whatever, velvet pattern. That because of this really thin panel around your stiletto, you could do that.
Wow, that would be really cool because sometimes if you have a broken leg, that can really ruin your whole look. As she
right.
said.
Yeah, so she would have had the ability to turn her boot into a boot.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, like, thank you for the backstory. I totally forgot that. I mean, having she had one of those little, like a wheelchair for your foot, right?
Yep.
Where you put your knee on there, and that would be at least a decent height to see the LEDs. Otherwise, you'd have to be on the ground, laying on the ground to see what the LEDs say. And there's maybe only one scenario where that's likely to happen. Where but I think that is totally possible to be made. Like when like Alibaba or wherever you might get it cheaply made, even if you got it made one off, right? You can today. Like I see online occasionally they have like, it's small now. It's like maybe like the size of a sheet of paper, but it's like full on, like very flexible LED with, they can do video and animation. So, I mean, if that could be somehow cut down the size so it wraps not just the heel, because obviously a stiletto heel has very little surface area,
right?
But the other part of it, whatever it's called, the rest of the shoe, maybe even the bottom could have all of this like video happening. It makes you really, not just women staring at the shoe, but men staring at the shoes,
or men's shoes. I mean, yeah. And at the time, the technology wasn't there, to your point, because there was another gal who worked for a company called Planner, PLANAR. They do big, giant display models, and I asked her, I was like, Gigi, is this possible? And she's like, yeah, we don't have anything that small yet, that thin, or even things like being able to connect, like Bluetooth or on an app, that wasn't around. But now I put up Halloween lights and Christmas lights. I just bought a Halloween light that has an app on my phone. I can change the color of the lights at any time from my phone. So that technology wasn't there yet, but now it is. So the technology caught up. We were pre-discussing technology that didn't exist, but just the fun part about the conversation was we kind of all knew it would exist, or that we weren't constrained by this idea that it couldn't exist, which is what, and kind of what we talk about with AI and being afraid of it. It's like, this is all, there's a lot of cool stuff that can happen out there, and it's fun to embrace it and ride it, and and see where it goes.
Definitely. Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. I was just actually last night watching the Great American Christmas Fight Light or whatever. And so like all of those houses had those little LED. I mean, some were massive, but some were smaller, like you're talking about. And they programmed them to however they wanted with the images and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely.
Did they crown a winner on that? I didn't watch it, but is it all one show, or was it multiple shows?
I think they do different ones. I didn't watch till the end, unfortunately. So I only saw like a couple different houses, but yeah.
There's a house from Colorado that's been famous. The guy's been doing it for 10 or 15 years. It looks like a gingerbread house, like an old world, like, Germany in red and green only. It's really cool. I mean, to go there is it's like an amusement park. There's like 40 or 50 people at any given time standing out there taking pictures, having coffee. It's a sight to see.
That's awesome.
That is so incredible. I love hearing that. I love that there's a show now about it, because I feel like it's going to up the game for the people who do that in my neighborhood. And it's like, because we actually do go driving. Sometimes I don't know where we see it, local paper. It shows all the, it's a small town, so people have a whole map of where things are. Now you could, like last year, I was like, I mean, one is over here. Number two, the second house is like all the way on the other end of town. And then you were going back and forth. I'm like, this is great when gas only costs $1.
Yeah.
But like, can we try to put this in order so we're not driving by the whole thing? But you can use generative AI now to put in all the addresses
Yep.
and have it organize
Map
it
it out
in
for you.
the
Yep.
most fuel efficient way. But yeah, I
Right.
love that. I think that, I love that all of these expressions of creativity and et cetera, like, I remember when it was just, well, you plug it in, the lights go on, and sometimes if you take the bulb out, it blinks. Right now, you can hook it up to your SharePoint and pull out the most fabulous image and have it rendered with lasers on top of a palm tree. I'm like, oh, that's so crazy, right? So it's like, all we need is a DJ. This would be
Yeah.
great. So yeah, I love what's happened, and I'm actually in the market for one of those those laser projectors that are animated, so I can shine up a palm tree. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's
Cool. This
awesome.
has been a great conversation, Richard. I really appreciate you joining us. Where can we find you out in the world?
Say it again.
Where can we find you in the world? Do you have a website or?
Yeah, I have a website. Let's see. The main site is called Pillar, PILLAR support.com. You can always email me, chief at that same domain, pillarsupport.com. And you can message me on LinkedIn, but I do check it. I do check LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to include your website and everything when we get this episode posted and everything, so people can check you out a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys. You made my Monday really fun and happy. I appreciate that so much. Hope you guys be well.
Yeah, me too. That's my goal in life, is to make Mondays. I'm trying to bring Mondays back.
Yeah.
Rap. I'm trying to do my best to make Mondays feel good again in life. So
Yes.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so make Mondays Sunday. Yeah, I guess you are promoting the 4-day work week, and I'm 100% behind that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Richard, it was great chatting with you and great meeting you as well. So, like Bobby said, it's been a great conversation, definitely.
Likewise, Savannah.
Yes. Well, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening in, and stay tuned for the next one as well. So,
take care, everybody.